Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the power of belief systems, we are stepping into one of the most profound and yet overlooked forces that shape every aspect of our lives. Beliefs are not just simple ideas or opinions. They are the invisible architects of our reality, silently programming how we think, how we feel, and ultimately how we behave. These belief systems form a framework within which our entire experience unfolds, and most of the time, we are completely unaware of just how deeply they govern us. From the moment we are born, we begin absorbing beliefs from the world around us. Our parents, teachers, culture, media, and society collectively instill patterns of thought that become the foundation of our understanding of what is possible and what is not. This collective programming is so powerful because it is reinforced constantly through repetition, emotional intensity, and social validation. It creates a kind of mass brainwashing where entire groups of people adopt the same limiting beliefs as if they were universal truths. Think about the beliefs you carry with you every day, beliefs about yourself, your worth, your capabilities, your limitations, and your future. Many of these beliefs have been handed down to you without question, like an inherited script that you were never invited to rewrite. Some of them may sound like, "I'm not good enough," "success is only for others," or "change is impossible." These are not just idle thoughts. They are energetic imprints that shape your nervous system and dictate how your body responds to the world. Beliefs become like software running in the background of your mind, influencing your emotional reactions and physiological state. When you hold a belief, your brain generates specific neural pathways that create habitual patterns. These neural networks are reinforced every time you think the same thought, feel the same emotion, or behave in a certain way. Over time, this repetition makes the belief feel automatic, unquestionable, and real. You don't just think the belief, you live it. It becomes your identity. This is why belief systems have such immense power. They don't just affect what you think. They determine how your brain and body work together to create your experience of reality. If your beliefs are limiting, they act like invisible barriers that keep you stuck in familiar patterns, even when those patterns cause pain or dissatisfaction. You become trapped in a loop where your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors reinforce each other, preventing you from moving forward or embracing new possibilities. But here's the remarkable truth: beliefs are not fixed. They are not facts etched into stone. Beliefs are neurological habits that can be changed with intention, awareness, and practice. Once you recognize that a belief is merely a pattern of thoughts and feelings, you can begin to question its validity. You can become the observer of your mind rather than the victim of it. This shift in awareness opens the door to transformation. When you become aware of your belief systems, you gain the power to reprogram them. This requires going beyond intellectual understanding to an experiential level where you engage your emotions, imagination, and senses. The brain is a dynamic organ that thrives on novelty and change. By consciously focusing on new empowering beliefs and creating emotional experiences aligned with those beliefs, you can physically alter your brain's wiring. This neuroplasticity means that you are not bound by your past conditioning. You can create a new internal reality. Imagine what it would mean to shed the beliefs that no longer serve you, beliefs that limit your potential, your happiness, and your freedom. To do this, you must become deliberate in choosing what you feed your mind. The stories you tell yourself, the images you visualize, and the feelings you cultivate all contribute to the reinforcement or dismantling of your current belief system. When you cultivate a new belief with sufficient intensity and consistency, you essentially overwrite the old programming. This process of changing beliefs is not always easy because the brain resists change. It prefers familiar patterns even if they are painful. This resistance is why so many people remain stuck in cycles of self-sabotage, doubt, and fear. However, by developing greater self-awareness and learning to navigate the discomfort of change, you can transcend the collective conditioning that has shaped your life. You can step into a new version of yourself, one that is aligned with your highest potential and truest desires. In understanding the power of belief systems, it becomes clear why mass brainwashing is so effective. When entire societies share the same limiting beliefs, those beliefs become reinforced on a massive scale. People unconsciously conform to societal expectations, fears, and doubts, perpetuating a cycle that keeps individuals from breaking free and evolving. But this also means that awakening to your personal power, your ability to question and rewrite your beliefs, is a revolutionary act. It is the key to breaking the chains of conditioning and stepping into a life of conscious creation. Your beliefs are the filters through which you perceive reality, and they are the engine that drives your thoughts, emotions, and actions. When you change your beliefs, you change your perception. When your perception changes, your experience of reality changes. This is not wishful thinking or mere positive affirmations. It is a scientific principle grounded in the way the brain and body work together to create your lived experience. Breaking free from mental conditioning is one of the most courageous and transformative acts a person can undertake. It requires a deep willingness to face the unseen forces that have shaped your mind, emotions, and behaviors for years, often without your conscious consent. From the moment we enter this world, we are immersed in a sea of programming, cultural norms, societal expectations, family beliefs, education systems, media influences, and peer pressures. Each layer deposits ideas and assumptions that quietly settle into the fabric of our subconscious, creating a mental landscape that seems natural and inevitable. But it is precisely this conditioning that keeps so many trapped in repetitive patterns of thought and behavior, unable to realize their full potential. Mental conditioning works like an invisible cage. It limits the mind by establishing automatic responses and unconscious filters through which reality is interpreted. When something is programmed deeply enough, it no longer requires effort or awareness to operate. It becomes second nature. This is why, despite wanting change, many find themselves slipping back into familiar habits, reactions, and self-sabotaging beliefs. The mind prefers comfort and predictability, even if that means holding on to pain or limitation, because it has been trained to do so over decades. Recognizing this conditioning is the first step toward freedom, but recognition alone is not enough. It takes more than awareness. It demands intentional action and inner discipline to interrupt the automatic cycles that define how you think and feel. This is where most people struggle, because the conditioning runs beneath the surface of conscious thought. It is woven into emotional memories, habitual reactions, and neural circuits that govern automatic behavior. To break free, you must move beyond the conscious mind's chatter and engage with the deeper layers of the subconscious programming. One of the most powerful tools in this process is conscious awareness. By learning to observe your thoughts, feelings, and impulses without immediate judgment or reaction, you create a space between stimulus and response. This gap allows you to choose how to engage with your conditioning rather than being controlled by it. When you become the observer of your mind, you step into a new role, not as a passive victim of circumstance, but as an active participant in your mental and emotional life. This shift is crucial because it is only from this vantage point that true change can begin. Breaking free also involves challenging the beliefs and assumptions that underpin your conditioning. Many of these beliefs operate like invisible scripts you were handed early in life, scripts that tell you who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible. These scripts often include messages of limitation, fear, or unworthiness, which silently shape your identity and choices. Questioning these beliefs means daring to ask, is this really true? Who benefits from me believing this? What would happen if I no longer accepted this as fact? This questioning can be uncomfortable because it shakes the foundation of your familiar mental world, but it is necessary to create space for new possibilities. In this journey, emotional conditioning is as important to address as mental conditioning. Emotions like fear, guilt, shame, or anger often act as energetic anchors that keep you tethered to old patterns. They become automatic responses encoded into your nervous system, triggering habitual reactions even when the original cause is long gone. To truly break free, you must learn to move beyond emotional reactivity and create new emotional responses aligned with your desired future. This can be done through techniques that cultivate mindfulness, emotional regulation, and self-compassion, allowing you to transform reactive emotional patterns into intentional, conscious feelings. Another critical aspect of breaking free from mental conditioning is rewiring your brain. The brain's neuroplasticity means that it is constantly reshaping itself based on your experiences and repeated thoughts. When you choose to focus on new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting, you physically change the structure and function of your brain. This process requires consistent practice and patience because old neural pathways are strong and familiar, while new ones are fragile and need reinforcement. But over time, the new patterns become dominant, enabling you to live from a different mental and emotional baseline. Surrounding yourself with new influences also supports this transformation. The people, environments, and information you expose yourself to play a significant role in either reinforcing old conditioning or fostering growth. To break free, it is essential to seek out communities, mentors, and resources that encourage questioning, expansion, and empowerment. This doesn't mean abandoning all old connections, but rather becoming more selective about what you allow into your mental and emotional space. Ultimately, breaking free from mental conditioning requires an inner revolution, a conscious decision to reclaim your mind from the automatic programming that has kept you confined. It means embracing uncertainty, vulnerability, and discomfort as necessary parts of growth. It means no longer accepting the limits placed upon you by inherited beliefs and societal expectations. It means stepping into your creative power to design a new mental landscape that supports the life you truly want to live. This process is not instantaneous, nor is it linear. There will be moments of doubt, setbacks, and resistance because the brain and body instinctively protect the familiar. But each time you choose awareness over unconscious reaction, each time you challenge an old belief, each time you nurture a new emotional response, you chip away at the walls of conditioning. You create new freedom in your mind and heart. And in doing so, you open the door to a life defined not by the past, but by your highest potential and conscious intention. Rewiring the brain through conscious awareness is one of the most profound and empowering processes available to us as human beings. The brain is not a static organ. It is a dynamic, evolving network of neurons and synapses that responds directly to how we focus our attention, what we think about, and how we feel. This adaptability is called neuroplasticity, and it means that every moment you bring conscious awareness to your internal experience, you are shaping the structure and function of your brain. In other words, you have the power to change yourself from the inside out by becoming aware and intentional with your thoughts and emotions. The process begins with awareness because the mind can only change what it can see. Most people live much of their lives on autopilot, driven by unconscious habits, repetitive thoughts, and emotional triggers that were formed long ago. These automatic patterns create neural pathways, like well-worn trails in a forest, that shape how the brain processes information and reacts to stimuli. Over time, these neural circuits become dominant, reinforcing the same behaviors and emotional states repeatedly. The good news is that these pathways are not permanent. They are formed through repeated use and can be altered through conscious effort. When you cultivate conscious awareness, you begin to notice the mental and emotional patterns that keep you stuck. This means paying attention not only to the content of your thoughts, but also to the quality of your emotions, the sensations in your body, and the habitual reactions that follow. This mindful observation is not about judgment or trying to fix yourself immediately. Instead, it is about witnessing your inner experience as if you were an impartial observer. This space of observation creates a gap between stimulus and response, giving you the freedom to choose how you want to react rather than being controlled by old programming. This is where rewiring happens. By consistently bringing your awareness to the present moment and choosing new ways of thinking and feeling, you begin to build new neural connections. Each time you consciously redirect your thoughts away from old, limiting beliefs and toward new, empowering ones, you stimulate different areas of the brain. When you pair these new thoughts with elevated emotions such as gratitude, joy, or love, you amplify this effect because emotions act as powerful signals that reinforce learning and memory. This combination creates a fertile environment for neuroplastic change. It is important to understand that conscious awareness alone is not enough. Change requires repetition and emotional engagement. Simply thinking new thoughts without feeling them deeply will not create lasting transformation. The brain needs to experience these new patterns as real and significant in order to prioritize them. This is why visualization, meditation, and emotional rehearsal are such effective tools. When you visualize a new reality while engaging the feelings associated with it, your brain cannot distinguish this imagined experience from actual experience. This allows you to practice a new neural circuits in a safe mental space until they become integrated into your being. Another essential aspect of rewiring through conscious awareness is becoming aware of your body's role in holding patterns. The brain and body operate as a unified system. Repetitive thoughts and emotions create physical responses. Muscle tension, hormonal changes, and specific brain wave patterns that reinforce the existing neural pathways. By practicing breath awareness, body scanning, and mindful movement, you can begin to release these stored patterns and create space for new ones. This somatic awareness enhances the rewiring process by integrating brain changes with bodily states, making transformation more complete and embodied. The power of conscious awareness also extends to how you engage with your environment. The brain is highly sensitive to external stimuli, and the people, places, and information you surround yourself with influence your neural wiring. By becoming aware of these influences, you can make deliberate choices to expose yourself to experiences that support your growth and reinforce the new neural pathways you are building. This might mean seeking out uplifting conversations, educational resources, or environments that encourage creativity and positivity. It's important to remember that rewiring the brain is a gradual process that requires patience and persistence. The brain's tendency is to return to familiar patterns because it conserves energy by following established pathways. This is why many attempts at change fail. The brain resists novelty until the new circuits are sufficiently strengthened. However, with consistent conscious awareness and intentional practice, you can tip the balance in favor of new neural pathways that support your desired state of being. As you continue to practice conscious awareness, you will notice a shift in how your brain responds to challenges and opportunities. Situations that once triggered old emotional reactions will begin to elicit new, more constructive responses. Your ability to regulate your emotions, maintain focus, and access higher states of consciousness will improve. This is the direct result of rewiring your brain to operate from a place of greater awareness and intentionality. Through this process, you reclaim your power as the architect of your mind and your life. You stop being a product of your past programming and become the creator of your future experience. Conscious awareness becomes not just a tool for change, but a way of living that continuously shapes your brain and your reality in alignment with your highest potential. The role of quantum potential and possibility invites us to step beyond the limitations of the physical world, as we typically understand it, and into a realm where infinite potential exists. In this space, the future is not fixed or predetermined. Rather, it is a field of endless possibilities waiting to be accessed and manifested. The concept of quantum potential challenges the traditional linear view of cause and effect and opens the door to a profound understanding that our consciousness has the ability to influence the very fabric of reality. Quantum physics reveals that at the most fundamental level, matter and energy are not solid and fixed, but exist as waves of possibility, fields of energy vibrating with countless potential outcomes. This means that what we perceive as reality is actually a collapse of probabilities into a specific experience, influenced not only by physical laws, but also by observation and intention. In this light, the observer, our conscious awareness, plays a crucial role in determining which possibility becomes reality. This shifts the responsibility and power back to us as conscious creators. When applied to personal transformation, quantum potential suggests that we are not bound by our past or current circumstances. We are not limited by what has already happened or by the conditioning that has shaped our minds. Instead, we exist within a vast field of possibilities, each representing a different version of who we can become and what we can create. The challenge is learning how to move our attention and energy into the space where these possibilities exist before they become tangible in our physical world. The ability to tap into quantum potential begins with expanding our awareness beyond the familiar confines of the material world. It requires shifting from a reactive state, where we feel like victims of circumstance, to a creative state where we recognize ourselves as the authors of our experience. This shift is not merely a change in mindset, but a change in our energetic state. Our brain and body emit electromagnetic frequencies, and these frequencies resonate with specific possibilities within the quantum field. By elevating our internal state through focused intention, elevated emotions, and coherent thought patterns, we align ourselves with higher potential realities. One of the keys to accessing this quantum field of possibilities is the practice of visualization combined with deep emotional engagement. When you vividly imagine a desired outcome and simultaneously feel the emotions associated with it, joy, gratitude, confidence, you create a powerful energetic signature. This signature interacts with the quantum field, increasing the likelihood that this version of reality will manifest. This is not mere wishful thinking, but a scientifically supported process that involves changing the neural and energetic patterns within your body to match the reality you want to create. It is essential to understand that quantum potential operates outside of linear time. This means that future possibilities can influence the present moment, and that change does not have to follow a gradual or predictable path. When you tap into the field of potential, you open yourself to sudden insights, intuitive guidance, and opportunities that seem to come from nowhere. These moments of synchronicity are expressions of quantum possibilities collapsing into your experience as you align with them consciously. Furthermore, embracing quantum potential invites you to release attachment to specific outcomes or how things should unfold. Resistance and rigid expectations limit the flow of possibilities because they confine your consciousness to a narrow range of experience. True openness to quantum potential involves trusting the process of unfolding, knowing that the universe responds to the frequency you emit rather than the specific form your desires take. This requires cultivating patience, surrender, and faith in the unseen forces at work. The realization of quantum potential also challenges the deeply ingrained belief in separation. Quantum science reveals that everything in the universe is interconnected through an invisible web of energy and information. This interconnectedness means that your consciousness does not exist in isolation, but is part of a larger whole. When you raise your energetic vibration, you influence not only your personal reality, but also the collective field. This perspective encourages a sense of responsibility and empowerment, reminding you that your inner transformation contributes to the evolution of the greater whole. Accessing quantum potential also calls for breaking free from the mental patterns that confine you to past conditioning. Limiting beliefs, fear-based thoughts, and emotional blocks create energetic interference that disrupts your connection to the field of possibilities. Clearing these blocks through practices such as meditation, breathwork, and focused intention allows your mind and body to become coherent instruments capable of tuning into higher frequencies of potential. It's important to recognize that this is not a passive process. Tapping into quantum potential requires active participation and conscious choice. You are not a helpless bystander, but an active co-creator. Each moment of awareness, every choice to elevate your thoughts and feelings, and every intentional act contributes to reshaping your reality. This is why personal transformation at the quantum level is so powerful. It empowers you to rewrite your story from the inside out, drawing from a field where all possibilities exist simultaneously. In this space of quantum potential and possibility, limitations begin to dissolve. The boundaries imposed by past conditioning, societal norms, and even the physical senses lose their grip. You step into a new dimension of being where creativity, intuition, and infinite potential become your natural state. This is the frontier of human evolution, where science, consciousness, and spirit converge to unlock the true power that lies within you. Taking responsibility for personal evolution is the foundation upon which true transformation is built. It is the conscious decision to no longer be a passive participant in life, but to step fully into the role of the creator of your own experience. Personal evolution demands that you look inward with honesty and courage, recognizing that the power to change your reality lies not in external circumstances, other people, or chance, but within yourself. This act of ownership is the first and most crucial step in breaking free from limiting cycles and moving toward a life defined by growth, purpose, and authenticity. For many, the tendency to avoid responsibility is deeply ingrained. It is far easier to blame circumstances, societal structures, or other individuals for the state of our lives than to face the challenge of self-mastery. Yet, when you shift your perspective and understand that every thought, feeling, and action contributes to the reality you experience, you reclaim your power. You become aware that your current reality is a reflection of the internal world you have created, whether consciously or unconsciously, and that changing that reality starts with changing what is inside. Taking responsibility for personal evolution means committing to a path of continuous self-awareness and self-reflection. It means looking at your beliefs, habits, and emotional patterns with clarity and asking yourself, which of these serve my highest good? Which hold me back? Which are echoes of past conditioning that no longer need to define who I am? This process requires vulnerability and humility because it asks you to face uncomfortable truths about yourself without judgment or avoidance. The journey of personal evolution is deeply individual yet universally necessary. It is about becoming the author of your story, rewriting the chapters that have been dictated by fear, doubt, or external expectations. It requires discipline to consistently examine your inner landscape and make conscious choices aligned with your growth. This might mean adopting new habits, releasing toxic relationships, challenging long-held beliefs, or embracing discomfort as a sign of transformation. Each step taken with intention moves you closer to the person you are capable of becoming. An essential aspect of taking responsibility is recognizing that evolution is not about perfection but progress. It's natural to stumble, to revert to old patterns, or to feel lost along the way. What matters is the commitment to return to the path with renewed dedication, learning from setbacks rather than being defeated by them. This mindset shift transforms challenges into opportunities for deeper insight and growth, reinforcing resilience and self-compassion. Taking responsibility also involves understanding the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit. True evolution is holistic. It requires nurturing not only your thoughts, but also your emotions and physical well-being. This might include practices that promote mental clarity, emotional balance, and physical health, such as meditation, journaling, exercise, or creative expression. By caring for yourself in a comprehensive way, you create a fertile ground for sustainable transformation. Another dimension of personal evolution is the willingness to expand beyond comfort zones. Growth rarely happens within the safety of the familiar. It requires courage to face uncertainty, to challenge limiting beliefs, and to explore new ways of thinking and being. Taking responsibility means embracing this discomfort as a necessary part of the process rather than resisting it. It means choosing to evolve even when the path is unclear, trusting that each step forward carries you closer to greater freedom and authenticity. Personal evolution also calls for accountability, not only to yourself, but to the life you want to live. It requires honesty about the choices you make and their consequences. This accountability fosters integrity, aligning your actions with your values and vision. When you consistently take responsibility for how you show up in the world, you build trust with yourself and others, creating a foundation of empowerment and self-respect. Moreover, taking responsibility for your evolution means recognizing your influence on the collective consciousness. Your growth ripples outward, impacting those around you and contributing to a larger shift in collective awareness. This understanding expands your sense of purpose, motivating you to evolve not only for personal gain, but for the benefit of the whole. It invites you to embody qualities such as compassion, empathy, and leadership in service of a greater good. At its core, Taking responsibility for personal evolution is an act of love for yourself and for life. It is a declaration that you value your existence enough to invest the effort required to transform, heal, and expand. This love fuels persistence, inspires courage, and sustains hope through the inevitable ups and downs of the journey. By embracing responsibility for your evolution, you break the cycle of victimhood and step into a life of conscious creation. You become a living example of what is possible when one claims the power to change from within. This commitment sets in motion a ripple effect that reshapes your world, creating new opportunities, deeper connections, and a profound sense of fulfillment rooted in authenticity. The path of personal evolution is ongoing and ever expanding. It calls for continuous learning, unlearning, and relearning as you deepen your understanding of yourself and the universe.